This is a Marshall Enterprises presentation.
Separation of talent and skill is one of the greatest misunderstood concepts for people who are trying to excel, who have dreams, that want to do things. Talent you have naturally. Skill is only developed by hours and hours and hours of beating on your craft.
I've never really viewed myself as particularly talented. Where I excel is ridiculous, sickening work ethic. You know, while the other guy's sleeping, I'm working. While the other guy's eating, I'm working.
There's no easy way around it. No matter how talented you are, your talent is going to fail you if you're not skilled. You know, if you don't study, if you don't work really hard and dedicate yourself to being better every single day, you'll never be able to communicate.
Peace, everybody. Welcome back. I have some information that you really need to hear today. Today's topic is about enforcement. Enforcement of your administrative process, enforcement of your actions, etc., etc., etc. There's a lot of questions with respect to who has remedy, who knows how to do this, who can do this, and who can do that. And there are people that are faking the funk as if they've done some things. They may have attempted, but they weren't successful. And some people were actually successful. And they may have been successful in their first go round, or it took more than one time. But there's a reason why people are having trouble with their processes. And let's stick with, let's say, a private administrative process for the moment, with respect to a parking summons. You get a parking summons and you jot down on the page of the ticket, the summons, the citation, the pertinent information, and you send it back, certified mail, return receipt, within 3 days or 72 hours. And you get a response from that agency, let's say 30 days later, stating that you've never responded and that you need to respond, or they're going to go forward with enforcement actions and what have you. Now, what some people would do is they would wait for the court date, go into court, and try to follow up their processes that way. Then you have other people that will take that letter that they received and they will attach it to copies of the first mailing, meaning a copy of the ticket, copy of the certified mail return receipt documents as proof that the ticket was returned within the 72 hours, 3 days. And they would put statements on it that they did appear or that they did respond. So what happens next is you get a third letter stating that since you failed to pay the summons, et cetera, and all these letters that are coming back from these agencies are never signed, but these are their enforcement tactics trying to get you to comply. And once you get that final letter, you either ignore it because you don't know what to do anymore, or you write them back haphazardly. You don't really know what you're doing. But what you should do is follow up again and insist that they acknowledge that you did respond, and insist that they acknowledge the receipt of the documentation you sent them back. Now, this could be done in an affidavit form where they rebut your statements point by point, or in a notice. All of these things should be sent via a notary, and definitely use certified mail return receipt. If you choose to use registered mail, that's on you. I'm telling you what I use from my experience that gets results: certified mail return receipt. So enforcement of your processes is very crucial to you having success. These agencies think they have the upper hand, and to some degree, because they are perceived governmental entities, their word holds more weight than your words. So when they go to their superiors and they say, well, okay, this person with this license plate number did not appear and did not respond, and we formally request that the licenses and or registration of this vehicle be suspended. The agencies is going to respond favorably to them because they have a relationship. What you need to do is you need to get these people on the record or grab them by the balls and put them up against the corner for their actions and inactions. How do you do that? You do that with your paperwork. Now, when you send these correspondence back the second and the third times, you need to include more people in your correspondence, because the first time you send it back, you're sending it back to the agency that issued you that citation or that summons. You now want to go to the next level above that agency and the agency above the supervisory agency. So you're going to go from level one, the ground level, where the precinct or the department that issued it. Now you want to go to level two to their supervisors, and also you want to send the same notice to level three, letting them all know that you know what's going on and that you responded, et cetera, whereas they cannot say, oh, you never responded, you didn't respond effectively, or what have you. These steps is very important. Now, if in the event that you do these things and you default them out, because after the third attempt to reach them or third attempt to get them to comply, that is called a default notice, or, well, it's called a certificate of default or notice of default. What you do is you go to your notary. Now, I gotta backtrack. Your second and your third notice should be sent via the notary. Meaning the first letter, when you respond to the ticket and you cancel it out, you can send that, put it in the envelope, send it. Your second notice, once they send you something back, or if they don't respond accordingly, whereas you still see something listed online with that agency as far as an outstanding obligation they're claiming that you have. You have your notary send out that second letter to respond to them, and then you have your notary send out that third letter responding to them with the address that they have to respond back to, either the both of you, meaning you and your notary, or just your notary. Have them respond back to your notary. Your notary is a witness. Your notary can give you a certificate of default, meaning they can attest that letters were sent because they assisted with the process and the agency did not respond back to them as required. So they are in default. You then must take this to the civil court and open up a lawsuit against that entity. This is maybe 80% of the way remedy is acquired, because you're showing them that you mean business. If you don't go this far, they're just going to call you on your bluff, and you're going to buckle, and you're going to wind up paying, or your license or registration is going to be suspended. But you have to initiate a lawsuit for them to know you really are serious. If you have to pay that $200 fee, or if you get the paperwork that stipulates you don't have to pay for the defense of your rights. I can find these documents and I can try to put links to it on this video, but you have to initiate a lawsuit. This is not being taught. This is not being explained. Even the administrative process, people still don't fully understand the process of sending letters and how the letters should be outlined, how they should be sent, who should send them. This is very, very important in regards to your enforcement, because if your enforcement isn't strong, if your enforcement isn't tight, you're not really enforcing anything. This is critical steps that you have to learn how to do. You also don't want to use cookie cutter forms or cookie cutter templates where you take your name out or take the person's name out that created it, put your name in and send it in. These agencies are getting tons and tons of notices, letters, affidavits, etc., and they're all formatted exactly the same. Even on these forms, someone made a mistake spelling name and put, N-A-M-M or N-A-E-M, something like that. Every form looks exactly the same. So they know all you're doing is cutting and pasting, and you're parakeeting somebody else's information. You need to make these processes your own. Get your own wording, get your own verbiage. So let me open up my screen or share my screen and show you some samples of administrative processes, the verbiage of these processes, and I don't think I can. It's on another screen here. That's not okay. Let's see if you can see this. Yeah, I think you can see this. Okay. Let's open this file first. After sending out the first letter or sending back the summons, you sent back the summons, you wrote on the summons, refusal for cause, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You signed it, sent it back. And you get a letter back from the agency stating that the court date was scheduled for X day, this day, that, so on and so forth. Because you choose to plead not guilty, meaning you didn't, mind you, didn't make a plea at all, but they are interpreting your response back to them as a plea. Now, this video is not going into how you answer those tickets. I want to speak to you particularly about administrative process, and this process transcends most applications. So, as you can see on the screen here, I'm going to try to load up a little bit more. Give me a second. My network is a little slow. Okay, so you sent the first letter out and they didn't respond back to you adequately, or they responded back to you stating that you have additional things that you need to do, as opposed to saying that the ticket is dismissed or they got rid of the ticket. You respond with, okay, this is a notice of fault and opportunity to cure. Trying to slide down. This is a notice of fault and opportunity to cure. And basically what you're referencing in this mailing is that you respond, you on or about whatever date they receive the notice of, or they receive the summons back, you know, you fill this out that way, that they received the notice and you send it by certified mail and return number, blah, blah, blah. And as of now, you are responding back, stating this and stating that, and I never pleaded guilty. Now, if you're reading along with me and you notice that what I'm saying is not on this page, it's because I am not paraphrasing, but I'm letting you know what should go here. The statement that you see written here is from a response previously. This is something that I've sent out a couple of years ago, but I'm using it as a reference. So your statement of facts here will be the statement of facts of what you did. Again, on or about Thursday, September 15th, you mailed out the ticket within the 3 days, 72 hours. This is the stuff that you were right here. As of today, today's date, you did not get a response back to, or as of to this date, the summons is still active when it should be dismissed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, at this point, you can actually put your laws in there as to why the ticket should be dismissed. Now, why is this an opportunity to cure? It explains it here. In the event the respondent's failure to respond, come on, get out the way. In the event that respondent's failure to respond to the notice of reservation of rights, or this would be the ticket. In the event the respondent's failure to respond to the summons return or return of the summons was an oversight, mistake, or otherwise unintentional, me, the applicant, grants whoever the Parking Violations Bureau 3 days exclusive of the day of receipt to cure the fault. Failure to cure will constitute an operation of law. Respondent's final admission and agreement to all statements and claims made by applicant to tacit procuration pertaining to the summons returned, da, 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 da. And the whole matter shall be deemed res judicata and stand ceases. Response by respondent must be served on applicant exactly as provided below. Overleave, using certified mail, return receipt, traceable mail, yada, yada, yada. And, you know, this is a second notice that would be sent out, okay? If you watch the private administrative process video that I've made, which I'll reference here in the video, it tells you how to send out the certified mail receipts with the return receipt with the certificate of mailing. So all that information would go in here, it would go accompany this letter, and you would send it out. Also now, once they don't respond effectively to this mailing, you would send them out a default notice, which let me show you a default notice. And let's make this bigger. Okay, this will be the notice of default pertaining to the summons that was returned, da, 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 da. This notice sent, blah, 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 blah. Respondent is whoever you're sending this back to. And your statement of facts. On or about September 26th, the respondent, which is the agency that sent you the ticket, received the return of the summons within the 3 days, 72 hours by certified mail delivery with the delivery of certified mail number here. Pertaining to affidavit of fact, this is additional information that you would have sent with it from the affidavit to the respondent's attention. As of, let's say, today's date, the agency has not responded to the above ticket that was sent back within 3 days, 72 hours. And the agency is in default in this matter. Now, it further states, this failure to respond and now default is an operation of law. Respondent's final admission and agreements to all statements and claims made by affidavit to tacit procuration pertaining to the notice or the letter, the summons that was sent back, the return summons. And the whole matter is res judicata, and stare decisis. And respondent is an estoppel by respondent's failure to respond. Estoppel is the ability to, well, you had the opportunity to respond and you did not. Stare decisis and res judicata, gotta look those things up. It's slipping my mind right now. I have so much in my head I'm trying to bring forth to you, but I'll probably highlight it in the video as I edit it. I'm not gonna speak about it right now, apologize. So this would be the notice of default that you would send them and let them know. Now you had an opportunity to respond and you did not respond, so now you can't respond. And subsequently, you would go to, after you send this out and they don't respond, you now will go to your notary, and your notary will give you a certificate of default stating that on such and such day, the notary mailed out this document, the agency never responded back to the notary. They then followed up with another letter giving them an opportunity to actually respond again. They didn't, they are stopped. They're not allowed to actually say anything else on this matter. So that, in fact, is the administrative process, and you got to understand those steps and principles. Another key item that no one speaks of is if the person that you're writing these letters to, that you're trying to get them to respond to you, does not have a relationship with you, they don't have an obligation to respond to you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can talk to you guys. They don't have an opportunity. They don't have an obligation to answer you, meaning the Parking Violations Bureau of whatever town or state or city that you're in sent you a notice. They engaged you. You respond to them, and now they have an obligation to respond back to you, to your letters, to your statements, to your affidavits. If you send a letter to the Department of the Treasury, you are engaging them. They don't have to respond to you unless they have a relationship with you. And a lot of people say, well, I got a TDA account. You know, do you have an account number? Do you have the card? What do you unless you initiated and activated that account, you don't have an account. If you don't have a relationship with the agency that you're sending these letters to, they don't have an obligation to respond to you. So if they don't respond, you can't say, I got them. They didn't have an obligation to respond. It's like you don't have grounds to sue. So when you go to, if you try to take them to court, they're going to get things dismissed on the grounds of failure to state a claim upon relief, failure to state a claim upon which relief can be granted. Also, you don't have standing. You have to have standing to bring them into court. We don't know you. I don't have an account with them, just like you do to them. If parking violations brings you to court, I don't have an account with them. How are they suing me for monies? I don't owe them anything. So you got to know this, you got to learn this, and you got to establish the relationship with the agency, put them in a position where they have to respond to you. If they do not have a relationship with you, they do not have an obligation to respond to you. So you can do as many administrative processes as you want to. They're not responding to you because you don't have a relationship. So a lot of our processes are not going to be answered. And we're going to get them on silent agreement, so to speak. So if I write to you and I tell you owe me $10, you need to pay up. And you don't immediately respond to that letter and say, what are you talking about? I don't owe you anything. Who are you? So you ignore it. I then send out another letter and say, well, since you didn't respond to me last time, it's now going to be $15 that you owe me. And you don't respond and say, who are you? I don't owe you nothing. Go away. By your silence, you're somewhat agreeing to them making the accusations, because they're assuming and presuming, and they're making a statement or they're making a claim. and you're not rebutting that statement or that claim, it could develop latches, L-A-C-H-E-S, meaning it could stick to you. You have to respond. In your response, you can also say, okay, you want me to participate in your little game? The cost of my participation is X amount of dollars. So if you want me to play this game of tennis by hitting this paper back in your court and wait for you to hit it back in my court, it's going to cost you $1,000. Now, if you respond back to me, or if you write me anything else in regards to this matter, I'm going to take it as an acceptance of this offer and this agreement, and we have an agreement. You may never hear from them again. You might, just because they might be testing you, but you have to have the balls, the unction to actually go after them and make them pay up. You have to initiate a lawsuit, or you have to get a summary or default judgment against these people. You have to, you have to, you have to. All right, so I'm going to try to backtrack and make sure you understood what I try to present to you today. An agency sends you something, and we call it an offer to contract. They send you a statement, whereas they leave a parking summons on your car. Parking summons in your car. You come out and see the parking summons, and you just you throw it away. They initiated. They made an offer. It's up to you to accept it or reject it. And your rejection can't be, go away. You have to reject it appropriately, because they jotted your license plate number down, they jotted your VIN number down, and they're saying that they put a claim, you did something or you owe them something. And if you don't swat that fly away, it's going to keep buzzing in your ear. So what you effectively need to do is you need to let them know, I do not wish to contract with you. I do not wish to have any bearings with you. In that very first letter, you can make that a cease and desist letter, meaning, who are you? Never heard about you, have no relationship with you, don't want a relationship with you. I need you to cease and desist. Do not send me another letter. Otherwise, you're going to be liable to my fee schedule, and place your fee schedule with that letter. So now, if you contact me back, that is immediate acceptance of my terms. My terms are that if you want to play tennis, if you want to put anything in my mailbox, it's going to cost you X amount of dollars for that to be inserted into my mailbox. You have to assert yourself with these people. Otherwise, they're going to run all over you. So this is Bud Brownsville speaking about enforcement and what you need to do. Now, I need your feedback. I need you to let me know, what about this video you liked? What didn't you understand? What you need me to further illustrate or further explain? Because I'm giving basic information, I'm giving outlines, but I want to make sure that you guys are grasping this. Because in order for you to actually learn how to do this stuff, you have to understand, you have to understand exactly what is being presented. You're either going to do your own homework, you should, or you're going to ask questions until you get what's being said. Maybe play this video over more than once. So my administrative process video, there's several, watch all of my videos. There are several other videos that put pieces together for you. It's difficult to make one video and give you a complete outline because there's so many different paths to go, so many different processes, so many different issues. Not everybody's on the same level. So there's someone listening to this video for the first time that don't know nothing I just said except parking summons and refusal. They don't know nothing about the administrative process. They know nothing about certified mail return receipt, etc. So you have people that are vids, yet, oh, that's how the administrative process goes. You send the first letter, you send the second letter, and mind you, you send the first letter out, you respond to their correspondence. But the second and third letter, which is critical, gets sent out by a notary or a third party. It doesn't have to be by a notary, it could be by a third party. Somebody that has nothing to do with you or the parking authority. So it can be a family member, it can be a family friend. However, if these people have to come to court to testify on your behalf, it would be better if they didn't have a relationship with you. It would be better. However, it doesn't have to be. Your witness is your witness. It is better to have a notary. The notary is your best friend. Not your best friend, pal, buddy, ace, boom, coon, although it can be, who's gonna know, you know, but your best friend when it comes to these administrative processes, because they're gonna assist you in getting remedy, all right? So I think I've said enough on this issue about enforcement. You have to enforce your processes. You have to enforce your paperwork, because just sending letters is not enough. How you send it is important as well. What you send it on. Go to my videos about tools of the trade. I'm going to put the links here. And mind you, that little I right there, or maybe on this side, maybe on this side, a little I up in the corner, if you click that, a bunch of my videos will pop up that I'm referencing for this presentation. Also, there's a bell button. If you watch this on YouTube, there's a little bell button. When you hit that bell, you get notification every time I put out a video. So you don't want to miss a video. You want to catch them when I put them out, or catch up on them later. But I thank you for watching. I thank you for listening. I thank you for your time. And I really hope you're getting these messages, because there are a lot of people getting involved in this private information, and they're trying these processes and they're doing them wrong, or they're doing them incomplete. And then they get discouraged and say, oh, this shit don't work. If more of us would enforce these instruments and documents as we should, we'd be a force to reckon with. Another caveat. When I send out my documents with respect to parking summonses and things of that nature, I'm not sending out an instrument. I'm not sending out a negotiable instrument. I use registered mail whenever I send something of true value out, whether it be a check, a money order, a bill of exchange, etc. To send these private administrative processes out with registered mail is unnecessary. So you have people that's beating you in your head saying, oh, that's private international and it's supposed to be, that sounds good. But you need not pay $12, $15 for a $7 process that gets you the remedy that you need. So when you're sending out negotiable instruments, you're not supposed to send out cash, but in the event you do send out cash, you should send it registered mail. Registered mail is slower and more meticulous than registered mail is, than certified mail. Certified mail is just in a, like a conveyor belt, you know, a assembly line. It goes through, gets scanned, and it keeps going, and get there in 2 or 3 days. Registered mail may take 7 days or more to get to the person, unless you do, you know, next day or express with it. But it's more of a meticulous approach because it's delicate, it's fragile, it has negotiable instruments in there, and they don't want it to get caught in the conveyor belt or get caught up or go to the wrong place. They have to monitor it. So more or less, it won't be in that machine that goes off to the conveyor belt into the horizon. It's going to stay with individuals from this bag to this bag to this shelf. They're going to monitor it because they don't want that piece of documentation to get lost. Here's another one. We talk about registration of our vehicles should not be done. You know, it gives over ownership. You don't want to register nothing. But these same people is trumpeting registered mail. You think it changes because international, that you're not giving up some kind of ownership to it? You get your birth certificate and documents certified and authenticated, but you send your mail registered. Doesn't that sound backwards? Did the light just go off? I hope so, because if you're going to teach this stuff, teach it right. Don't teach it from the realm of, okay, this is what such and so told me. These are, you know, don't. a lot of the steps that I present to you, I've learned it from other individuals or learned it from other books and things. And I've done my own research and my own study on it, and I've trial and error with my, with my processes and my work and my things. I don't say because, Bell Bondsman said, do it this way, we must do it exactly this way. Everybody has to carve their own path, and you have to make your own mistakes, and you have to make your own way. So if registered mail works for you, continue with registered mail. Certified mail works for you, continue with certified mail. I'm giving you a well-rounded version of what is out there, what should be, what could be, and you make the decision on how you take it and use it, all right? So registered mail is not required all the time, with the exception to negotiable instruments, okay? Okay. Again, thank you for your time. This is what Brownsville. Please leave me a comment. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if I'm not doing enough. Let me know if I'm talking too much. Let me know if I'm talking too low. Let me know what's going on so I can better serve you. And the more feedback I get, the more information I put out. I've listened to hours upon hours upon hours of Jonah Bey, Yusuf El, and other blog talk radio shows. And watching and listening to these shows, I would pause it because they just dropped a nugget. I get that nugget, I write it down, I make a note on my page of when in the audio recording that it came up, and I would go research it and check it out for myself. Oh yeah, that's what they're talking about. That's true, okay, and continue on. So do the same thing with mine. Stop it, decipher it, dissect it, get that information out, use it. I appreciate you guys. So a lot of the information that I've accumulated free. I didn't have to pay anybody. When they got to a point where I started doing negotiable instruments and I wanted to be sure, I paid for a webinar and I paid for some information, but I already had most of my homework done. I just wanted to put that icing on the cake. So do the same. Stop paying these people to do this stuff for you, and they do it for you, you still don't know what they did. Learn it yourself. So when they tell you, oh, okay, you're gonna need, a 55-cent stamp on the envelope. No, I don't. 2-cent stamp. So, listen, you gotta give me 55 cents. Why I gotta give 55 cents? Oh, put a stamp on the envelope. No, here's a 2-cent stamp. You know what I mean? So if you know the process, if you have an idea of it, you can't be taken advantage of. And again, that's it. Enough for this video. I thank you. Thank you. I thank you. And see you on the next one. Peace.